Kevin O'Leary, aka Mr. Wonderful, aka Terrence from Canada. You may know him as the angry 70-something reality TV business boy who failed at becoming Canada's Prime Minister, but went on to achieve some equally great things, like spanking Timothy Chalamet with a ping pong ball.
We had a stunt ass. I told Timmy, I don't have to do this to you, and I hit him so hard.
But despite looking like an eviction notice cursed with life, he's actually an innovative tech leader, building the
single largest AI compute data center park on Earth.
That's right, for over a year, O'Leary has been trying to raise the paltry sum of $70 billion to make Big Computer, which he plans to build right on top of one of the largest gas formations in the world. And you'll never guess what he plans on using to power it. But unlike that time he shilled for FTX, got paid in crypto, then lost it all because the company was a giant scam bubble run by sociopathic nerds, AI is definitely not that. Pay no attention to this diagram of money flows between AI companies that looks like a financial Ouroboros snake that has eaten its own tail, shit it out, and has now moved on to eating its own tail turds. But despite the man having some questionable connections to the Trump administration, the Canadian government has been making some moves recently that hint at this thing maybe actually getting built. So, what is the future of AI in Canada? Hi, I'm Aaron Higgy McKay, and just like an artificial superintelligence, this video only has a 20% chance of extinguishing all life on Earth. And welcome to the Goose. Whether you're someone who loves the endless parade of Facebook AI slop, or you feel like generative AI is an insult to life itself, I think we can all agree that it's really been a transformational technology. I mean, who could get through their day without the myriad wonders made possible by these miraculous machine brains like As you probably know by now, AI data centers are sucking up all of the electricity on the US grid, raising electricity prices for regular people. But don't worry, these tech companies say, it will be worth it once AI gets smart enough to put you out of a job. And you might be thinking, well, at least the data centers will provide lots of jobs, right? No, data centers are basically empty. Sure, there's jobs in construction, but after that, there's only a handful of people working at them, mainly security guards and technicians. The real goal for these companies is artificial superintelligence, or at least some kind of general purpose AI that not only outperforms humans in most tasks, it can usher in a techno-feudal dystopia where the prologarchs can finally feel safe and in control forever. Hyperscalers like Google, xAI, Anthropic, and OpenAI say the key is to build even larger models with even more data and even more compute, which means even more electricity. Unlike traditional data centers that run CPUs, AI workloads need GPUs, running loads of parallel computations typically used for high-end video games, or more recently, TPUs, tensor processing units, all of which need complicated cooling systems and more power than Doc Brown's DeLorean, going back to a time when President Biff was busy making America great again.
1.21 gigawatts!
Quick sidebar on how electricity is measured in watts and watt hours. 1 gigawatt is a billion watts. It can power between 750,000 to 1 million homes. Imagine this powering a whole city. Power is also measured over time. Producing 1 gigawatt hour means this city gets power for 1 hour. After 3 hours, the city has used 3 gigawatt hours. Think of watts like the speedometer and the watt hours like the odometer. Watts is the rate of energy use, watt hours is the cumulative energy use. McKinsey estimates global data center capacity to more than triple by 2030 to 219 gigawatts, driven mostly by AI. So if every data center were running at capacity, they'd need 219 gigawatts. But how much power would they need over an entire year? The IEA says data centers use 415 terawatt hours in 2024, or about 1.5% of global electricity use. A terawatt is 1,000 gigawatts. By 2030, they expect that to more than double to 945 terawatt hours a year. That's more electricity used by the entire country of Japan. And you might say, AI environmental harms are overhyped. It doesn't hold a candle to, say, beef production. Yeah, that's true, but that's food. You can't eat AI slop. The closest thing we have is Subway. Subway. Eat fingers. You can't eat AI slop. The closest thing we have is Arby's. Arby's. We have the fingers. Closest thing we have is Taco Bell. Taco Bell. Live fingers. Just put whatever restaurant you want. So if the grid is tapped out in the US, Where are these tech brohemoths supposed to get the sweet, sweet robo-juice? Well,
There's a valley where technology and nature will come together in perfect harmony, where the future will pulse at every turn. Bursting with nature and wildlife, nurturing the present as it embraces the future. A valley where the brightest minds unite, where electrons, machines, and data come together in an algorithmic dance. Wonder. It's not just a name, it's a mission. A data center campus that will sustainably marshal in a new era of innovation. The single largest AI compute data center park on Earth. Nestled quietly within 7,000 acres of forest land with trails, wildlife and recreation, and beauty. Welcome to Wonder Valley. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Let's shape the future together.
yeah, Kevin, Mr. Wonderful TM O'Leary named his data center Wonder Valley. I cannot express to you how nano bananas it is that you can just post an AI Slop mockup on YouTube and, with a straight face, say, give me $70 billion. And then investors would be like, interesting. Location here is key. The site selected for this project is in the municipal district of Greenview, number 16, near Grand Prairie, Alberta. And specifically, Wonder Valley will be built on the Greenview Industrial Gateway, sometimes called the GIG, a redevelopment zone that has been looking to attract investors for years, mostly in the oil and gas industry. And listening to their pitch, they make the GIG sound like an ideal location for this AI monstrosity. Alberta is cold in the winter, making it very easy to cool these massive computer racks. They're right next to the Smoky River, so they can draw water for their cooling system. They've already installed fiber optic cable, so they have the bandwidth. But most importantly, they have a practically unlimited supply of gas power, which isn't exactly great for the climate. Now, at a time when the US is invading other countries for the resources, I understand if global warming isn't exactly a pressing issue for you. But keep in mind that the US wants Greenland because the Arctic is melting. The AI boom is super inconvenient from the standpoint of the climate. At a time when we should be replacing fossil fuels with other things like wind, solar, and storage, AI's added energy demand is often being met with more fossil fuels, dumping millions of tons of heat-trapping pollution into the air. Props to the Matrix for seeing this coming back in 1999.
At some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky.
The point is, AI, the fossil fuel industry, and the rise of authoritarianism are all connected. And not to mention the connections between Wonder Valley and the Trump administration. What with that whole Trump threatening to annex the country, and then O'Leary immediately going on Fox News to sane-wash the idea as a political union with a shared currency thing.
And it makes sense because the resources Canada have, the U.S. needs, particularly power and water. The Pentagon is worried, and has been for decades, about the northern border where China and the USSR are. If you figured out a way to put these two countries together, it would be the most powerful country on earth, the most powerful military on earth, the most powerful in resources. And no adversary anywhere would mess with it. That's the prize.
If fully built, Wonder Valley would need 7.5 gigawatts of electro juice to make big computer go brr. But instead of leeching off of Alberta's dangerously underpowered grid that keeps blinking out at the slightest breeze, this data center plans on being entirely off-grid. And 7.5 gigawatts is a lot. That's about 2/3 of the power the entire Alberta grid uses in the middle of a typical day. For comparison, the Bruce nuclear power plant in Ontario, going rods deep into the reactor, produces a maximum of 6.5 gigawatts. That means Wonder Valley will need to burn an absolute ton of gas. And they say they have some plans for geothermal and backup diesel, but don't worry, Wonder Valley is going gas first into the future. The project has 6 phases, each adding more capacity one after the other. They estimate 538 billion cubic feet of natural gas per year for each phase of the project, meaning a fully operational Wonder Valley is using 3.3 trillion cubic feet of gas per year. And where are they getting all of that gas from? The gig sits atop the Montney Formation, the 6th largest carbon bomb in the world that, if fully exploited, would add over 13 billion tons of CO2 into the open sky sewer we call the atmosphere. The Montney Formation alone would blow past our country's 2030 climate targets 30 times over. And Wonder Valley plans on making that happen as best they can.
As I kind of say, I Shark Tanked Kevin into believing in data centers. He was already working within them, but I kind of taught them. We started looking in the lower 48 of the US, and we found very quickly that the power grid, especially the power grid in North America, is completely out of power. Very good contact named Harold Hamm. He's the father of fracking.
Oil and gas guy, right?
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful gentleman. He's like, look, guys, there's only 2 places in North America that have stranded natural gas that you could then turn into power. There's the Marcellus Shale, which is up in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, and the Montney, which is up in northwest Alberta. Kevin called Premier Danielle Smith. We went to go see her. I went up in a helicopter, saw this Greenview Industrial Gateway. We're sitting on natural gas. We're sitting on a northern flowing water river, which has already been granted a conditional 24 million cubes per annum license, which we can then draw water to cool the power. And before long, we're looking at this going, this seems to be a very intriguing place, which we feel is somewhat of a unicorn.
What does he mean by stranded? Well, on top of getting gas from gas pipelines, Wonder Valley's massive power demands would mean that gas that would otherwise stay in the ground because it's too low quality or too expensive to get to market would suddenly have an eager buyer. In other words, Wonder Valley's whole plan is to set off the Montney carbon bomb by burning up the supply of fresh, local, organic exploding air. Not to heat anyone's home or anything, but to power their AI slop atrocity. But don't worry, they say, through state-of-the-art technology and the integration of renewable energy solutions, the project aims for a near-zero carbon footprint, aligning with sustainability initiatives while ensuring a continuous power supply. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out how they plan on making that happen, especially considering how gas has a tendency to leak. And since it's mostly methane, a greenhouse gas that is 80 times more potent than CO2 at trapping heat over a 20-year period, making it near zero carbon, respectfully, sounds like a hot, steaming pile of bullshit. Okay, editing Aaron here, and I even wore the same shirt for continuity. If you go to the Wonder Valley website, they do talk about having full carbon capture, and their plans include a power generation and carbon capture corridor, which sounds great, but unfortunately, carbon capture doesn't work. It has a long history of failure. It is literally a scam. So instead of repeating myself, I'm just going to direct you to the video that I made about the pipeline MOU between Canada and Alberta, where I go into detail. Suffice it to say, for Wonder Valley to go full carbon capture, this would have to be a much larger carbon capture project, be the largest one on Earth, and it would cost tens of billions of dollars. And, you know, it may be true that this will be the most sustainable data center campus on Earth, but like, that's not saying much, especially when an analysis commissioned by the Energy Mix estimates that a fully functional Wonder Valley could churn out anywhere between 23 to 30 million tons of CO2 a year, depending on a number of factors, including whether or not they use carbon capture and storage. And I know, that probably means absolutely nothing to you. So, to put 30 million tons into perspective, BC's total emissions from all sources were a little more than 60 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. That's every gas stove, every cannabis grow-up, every BMW X7 idling in the Whistler parking lot. All of it. This one data center could end up being half of British Columbia's worth of heat-trapping pollution added to Canada's balance sheet. So, not great. Near zero. In late 2024, Kevin O'Leary went on Funk's News and boldly proclaimed that Wonder Valley was awesome, so please give him money.
Where can I get the power? Where can I get 7 gigawatts of power? I found it in northern Alberta. The province is being run by a maverick woman who's very friendly with Burgum, very friendly with Kevin Stitt in Oklahoma, where Cushing is, very friendly with the Trump administration, because she's the top dog in getting the pipeline lit up again with Trump if he wants to do that. And she has provided a permit for me for thousands of acres, but 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. This is going to be the most low-cost energy in America. And look, it's a huge project. I got to raise $70 billion. But I'm moving all over the world doing it with her, and I've been flying to every sovereign wealth fund that'll take the meeting, and we're off to the races.
This announcement came as a huge surprise to Sheldon Sunshine, chief of the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation. Alberta, after all, is on treaty land. Constitutionally, you need to consult with affected Indigenous communities whenever you plan on building the world's largest AI data center. So the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation sent a cease and desist letter that basically reads like, wait, what the f*** did we just see on Fox News? To paraphrase, wait, land permits and gas permits actually? Also, water licenses? For the river we get our drinking water from. Are you f***ing serious? And he said that the premier is pitching this project to foreign investors. Who? When? And what the actual f***? This is closed with a reminder that their way of life has been systematically eroded, and they respectfully ask that the provincial government cease and desist from using our traditional territory in this manner and in coordination with a proponent without our free, prior, and informed consent. But it turns out Kevin O'Leary doesn't have any permits. What they have is Alberta's Minister of Technology and Innovation, Nate Glubish, seen here perfectly embodying the office handshake meme, who basically said, yeah, we like this project and we'll help out where we can. When it comes to water use, Kyle Reeling of the Greenview Industrial Gateway has stated that the design of the data center would include a water reservoir drawing from the Smoky River when it's high. That way, the data center and gas turbines will have water to operate when the river is low. They also say they'll use a looping water system to minimize water use. Overall, they say they'll need 0.2% of the river's annual flow. We're still talking about 25 billion liters of water, or about as much as Peter Thiel sweats out in an average interview. Unfortunately, that pesky climate change thing is making drought in Alberta more of a problem. In August of last year, the government of Alberta put out several shortage advisories, including for the Smoky River, the same river they want to draw from. And as of December 2025, that entire area is in extreme drought. So hoarding water if the river ends up running dry might not be a great look. To say nothing of all the water needed to frack all of that gas they need to run their data center. As of this recording, the land hasn't even been purchased. The first phase was supposed to begin construction this year and be operational by 2027. A year after the Fox News announcement, Kyle Reeling of Greenview told The Logic that construction might start in 2028. Oh no, was this vaporware the whole time? Was Mr. Wonderful actually just Mr. Wonderful? Of shit. Somehow I expected better from the guy who stole his pants collection from your cool aunt that let you use her basement to get wasted when you were in high school. So you might be wondering, if this project is already years behind schedule, why am I even bothering to talk about it? Well, because recently, the federal government has made AI a huge priority. Canada used to be an AI leader, but now we're a laggard, according to at least 2 Canadian think tanks in the Atlas Network, a global web of free market organizations generously funded by the fossil fuel industry. Gee, I wonder why they're so gung-ho on AI. But thankfully, and you can tell by the sound of his voice, our Prime Minister is super psyched about AI.
AI can provide powerful solutions, better healthcare, better education, better government services. But realizing that potential will require fundamental reforms to our education system and to our social welfare system.
Canada's 2025 federal budget shows our government is super jazzed about AI for 2 reasons: money and money. First, funding to support large-scale sovereign public artificial intelligence infrastructure that will boost AI compute availability and support access to sovereign AI compute capacity. This measure will primarily benefit highly educated men. Or, as this highly educated man-friendly table puts it, seizing the full potential of artificial intelligence. Men, income up, prosperity up. But they also want to use AI to low-key doge the public service. Although, how they're going to pull it off without the help of Elon and some guy named Big Balls is a mystery.
Who's Big Balls? That should be obvious.
Instead, Canada will have this guy, our Minister for AI, Evan Solomon. And if he looks like someone who got fired from the CBC for using his television show to get clients for his side hustle as an art dealer, that's probably because that's literally what happened. Except now, as Minister for AI, I'm sure he can get you a great deal on some Bored Apes from the back of his Kia. Buy the dip, Canada! It's going to be Evan Solomon's job to oversee how the government adopts AI and how AI infrastructure is built. The budget says, greater efficiency will allow resources to be directed towards increasing public service productivity and improving how services are delivered to Canadians, particularly through the integration of technology and artificial intelligence. Which sounds great, but how though? A KPMG survey of Canadian businesses shows that 93% of respondents have deployed generative AI in some capacity, but only 2% have seen any return on investment. This is echoed by an MIT study that shows that 95% of companies that have deployed generative AI got zero return. But surely the government can vastly outperform the business community in AI deployments, right? The 10 years under Prime Minister Trudeau saw Canada's public service grow by more than 40%. Now it seems they want to cut public spending without the political backlash of making value judgments. So instead, it seems like they're just cutting across the board and being like, I don't know, maybe ChatGPT can inspect meat. Even if AI could help make the government vastly more efficient, Canada lacks the cloud infrastructure to do all of that hyper-intelligent doging, without which sensitive government information will flow through servers located and controlled by the country casually posting White House plans to annex us on knockoff Parler. The Canadian government is expected to announce an AI strategy this year that will likely set out guidelines for data sovereignty.
Our upcoming AI for All strategy will begin to tackle these challenges to maximize the potential of AI for all Canadians.
And previously, the Prime Minister has said that the Major Projects Office will help build a Canadian sovereign cloud. Which brings us to the other government move, paving the way for Wonder Valley, getting rid of the Clean Electricity Standard. The Clean Electricity Standard was a Trudeau-era climate policy designed to lower carbon pollution from electricity generation that was announced in 2022, but set to take effect next decade. This, of course, was met with resistance in Alberta, with Premier Daniel Smith initially placing a moratorium on renewable energy projects. Later, they introduced regulations to protect pristine viewscapes like this. Oh wait, sorry, wrong picture. From being destroyed by ugly wind turbines and disgusting solar panels. So of course, a bunch of renewable projects were canceled, costing Alberta billions in investment. According to a study from the Pembina Institute, this prevented about 11 gigawatts of renewable electricity capacity from ever being built. But hey, it's not like Alberta needs all of that electricity. Remember, Wonder Valley needs at maximum 7.5 gigawatts. And Alberta's policy stopped almost 11 gigawatts of renewable capacity from being installed, despite wind and solar being cheaper on average. It's technically feasible to power data centers with renewables and storage while using gas as a backup. But Mr. Wonderful here would rather make some AI slop that tells you how much he loves the environment, when his whole plan is to frack and burn as much as possible. And now that the Clean Electricity Standard has been nullified as part of the new Memorandum of Understanding between the feds and Alberta to get a new bitumen pipeline to the BC coast, projects like Wonder Valley can literally step on the gas towards two existential risks at the same time, like killing 2/3 of birds with one stone. Great job, everybody. So, it looks like the Canadian government has bought into the AI hype, covering itself in froth like a kid who got into daddy's shaving cream. But even if it's built in Canada, would Wonder Valley really be sovereign? Spoiler alert, no. Without getting into the nitty-gritty details of data residency and all that, the issue here is more about who benefits from Wonder Valley, or really any project like it. Wonder Valley is exactly the kind of project Canada should not build for at least 3 reasons. First, and most obvious, is the weird connection to Trump. The way Kevin O'Leary talks about Wonder Valley, you'd think that President Trump was the guy handing out the building permits. In January 2025, Alberta Premier Daniel Smith met with Donald Trump at the introduction of Kevin O'Leary, seen here dressed as a lawyer for a Colombian cocaine lord in 1985. On The Gig website, they promote the project with this excerpt from a write-up saying, Wonder Valley is part of a $100 billion provincial data center initiative, a key focus of Premier Smith's economic platform. She and Kevin O'Leary discussed the project with US President Trump, securing favorable outcomes. Securing favorable outcomes? I think I speak for every Canadian when I say, what the f*** does that mean? Favorable outcomes for who, Kevin? F***ing Aquaman?
Danielle Smith, who is probably the energy woman on earth right now, is the lowest cost energy in oil. Trump wants to light up XL pipeline again. She's the queen bee on that one. So listen, I want to build data centers in West Virginia and North Dakota, but right now, she's my special friend. I'm going to find $70 billion, and I think Trump's going to like my project.
Why would Trump like his project? Well, that goes towards the second concern. Wonder Valley is not being pitched as a sovereign cloud. It's being pitched for AI hyperscalers, all of which are American. And if US companies are using Wonder Valley, it will be subject to the US Cloud Act, granting authorities the right to access data within those servers. The business model is to pitch to US companies, not Canada. Next, who owns Wonder Valley? $70 billion is a lot of money. O'Leary mentions pitching this to sovereign wealth funds. Oil-rich countries like the UAE and Qatar have massive investments around the world after they got tired of Scrooge McDucking around in their money pools. In November 2025, Prime Minister Carney traveled to the UAE and struck a deal worth, get this, $70 billion in investment in Canada. Then in January, he went to Qatar and got them to make significant investments. All of this with the stated goal of boosting trade and partnerships in artificial intelligence, infrastructure, energy, and defense. So far, no mention of data centers specifically, but if Wonder Valley is owned by foreign investors, then it's not exactly a sovereign cloud, is it? And finally, and this is a little more speculative, even if Wonder Valley were to become a certified sovereign cloud provider, there's the risk that it will make Alberta a more tempting target for US annexation. Why would Trump allow Canada to control the largest piece of AI infrastructure in the world? As political scientists and researchers Thomas Homer Dixon and Adam Gordon point out, even if an Alberta separation referendum fails, are we prepared for what happens if Trump and his media allies simply declare the referendum to be rigged, setting up the groundwork for taking Alberta by force? Go watch that video. So to recap, Wonder Valley might end up being Canadian AI cloud infrastructure funded by Arab petrostates, used by California companies, and taken by the US military. Really, the only thing Canadian about it is the water and gas they're sucking out of the country. According to McKinsey, the race to build out AI data centers globally will cost almost $7 trillion. Not long ago, these tech companies were making big promises about going green and being powered by 100% renewables. Jeff Bezos literally bought the naming rights to Climate Pledge Arena. Early on in the AI race, people like Sam Altman were pitching AI as something that was necessary to solve climate change. But after looking into it, I'm starting to have my doubts about their sincerity. $7 trillion, by the way, is how much the world spent on fossil fuel subsidies in 2022, according to the IMF, around 7% of global GDP. Most of these big systemic problems boil down to a bunch of rich and powerful people / countries being greedy and short-sighted. We have the money, we have the technology, we have the talent. AI should be used to improve democracy and cooperation, not greed and domination. So, what's the alternative? It starts with a publicly owned cloud system of smaller data centers running open source models around the country that let people and businesses use it as an alternative to private cloud providers. It's not about training massive new models to expand your techno-feudal empire, it's about public utility. And we certainly do not need to build these things to run almost entirely on fossil fuels. Projects like Wonder Valley aren't about innovation or building a better future, they're about avarice and self-aggrandizement. Wonder Valley, which is why I created my own AI data center promo video. Take a look.
There is a gully.
It's called Greed Gully, bitch! A gully where technology and nature fight to the death, spewing out millions of tons of pollution, fracking, burning, because solar and wind are gay. Where rich morons and predatory psychopaths unite in an apocalyptic dance so we can fire everyone and replace them with hallucinating robots. Greed. It's not just a name, it's a mission to steal the future from people like you. Welcome to Greed Gully. Now give me $70 billion, asshole.
Thanks for watching. A big thank you to the flock over on Patreon. See these names? That could be you. You can support my fledgling channel by joining the flock over on Patreon right now, link in the description. We even have a free tier so you can just stay updated, where you'll also get access to my newsletter. I promise, I won't spam your inbox. And if you want to support the Goose for free, just like, subscribe, hit all the buttons. I still haven't figured out what the hype button is yet, but if you see it, press it and please tell me what it does. So what do you think about Canada's approach to AI? What do you think it should be? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.